All right. So, Rajiv, make sure that you have shared your updated resume with me
Yes, yes.
on my email
I
ID
also
because
changed it, but I first resume send which is first time, but and the second you send the format, then and but I cannot share it latest resume. Sir.
Acha, okay. When it's properly ready, then you can maybe share it with me because I'll be giving you some like feedback on your resume as well,
Okay, sir.
right? For that purpose. So as of now, what we can do is we can have a general discussion on the topics that we normally have. So let's say if we talk about machine learning in general, and we understand that there is something called overfitting and underfitting in machine learning. So in order to deal with that, we have different type of like measures. We incorporate kind of learning parameter into it. We incorporate the penalty parameter into it. So with context of overfitting and underfitting, there are two important terminologies that come into picture. There is something called L1 regularization. There is something called L2 regularization. What do we mean by that? What are
Lesu
these?
and Lesu and the regulations. Sir.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. Which can add for a penalty, same as both number are same, both are same, but number are different. Which can use for as a penalty parameter or add the error to
Mhm.
reduce the overfitting in case of machine learning model.
So, like, do we give a name to L2 and L1 regularization, or like they are just known by L1 and L2 regularization only? Is there any other name given to them?
Maybe sir L1 is rich and L2 is the less regulation, less
Correct,
normalization.
correct, correct. So L1 is rich and L2 is lasso.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that is something which we have. Now, with respect to Python, we can have some discussion. Let's say you are having a data, and that data is a part of you know a certain piece of code that you have written. Let's say on your Python interpreter, you are writing a piece of code which generates a data. That data can be using linspace function, it can be using a range function, or you can simply using pandas, you can create a dummy data frame. Now, if you want to share that data to me or to any of your, let's say, officials in the office, so how would you convert that output data, which is essentially a part of Python code, in the form of an Excel sheet? What program can you write in that? What syntax would you use? What inbuilt function can you use?
In form of CSV file.
CSV, Excel, anything?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
So maybe if you can change in the format, sir. So
Like
that is
the output that you have using a given built-in function, you can change that output and you can convert it in the form of Excel or CSV, and then you
yes,
can download it. So, like, I
yes.
wanted to know the name of the function that you can use.
Two dot exl is for Excel format.
And then inside the bracket, what do you write?
A small bracket, sir.
Inside the parentheses, inside the brackets, what would you write?
In column, sir.
Not the
Double
column as such. You will write down the name of the file. है ना? For
yes, sir.
example, for example, you generated a piece of code which gives you a dummy data set of, let's say, 10 rows and 10 columns.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, I want you to convert that output of 10 rows and 10 columns in the form of an Excel sheet or in the form of a CSV file, which can be shared to me, to your friends, anybody. So for that, what you mentioned is right. You will say to underscore Excel, to underscore CSV. Inside the bracket, you will write down a name. For example, demo.csv,
Yes, yes,
demo.xlsx. And then with that particular name only, your file would be saved that you can download later on and share with me or any friend of yours.
yes, yes.
Right? So that is what you can do. Next, coming to mm, let's say if I talk about Python only, in Python we have this concept of um, inheritance, object-oriented programming in Python. We have a concept called inheritance. So there are different types of inheritance you would have studied. There is something called multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hybrid inheritance,
Yes,
right? Different types of inheritance are there. So I want you to help me and differentiate between multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance. Two different things. How are they different from one another?
multiple things, that means which observe parent data, parent program
Hmm.
to next, and mul-
Multiple and multi-level.
and multiple, that means we can use parent data for the in next data, and in multi-level, that means use one create one data and second create second data, but the third data having both of both of data, having third data.
Okay, okay. So you want to say that you will have a parent class.
Yes,
From that parent class, I will inherit the properties in the child class.
child
And
class,
from that child class, I will inherit the property of parent class as well as the child
child
class in the
child.
third one.
Yes, yes,
Correct? Am I right?
yes, yes,
So
yes,
this is what? This is multi-level, you are saying.
yes.
Huh. And what is multiple then? What is multiple?
Multiple, you can use two data, parent and child. So child inheritance data from the parents data.
Okay. Slightly here, I would like to correct you. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Am I audible, Rajiv? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Huh. So I was saying I would like to correct you slightly here. When it comes to multi-level, you are right. That is exactly how it happens. But when it comes to multiple, it means you will have two parent class only. And from both the parent class, at a time you will inherit the properties. For example, you can have father class, mother class. From both father and mother, you are going to inherit the property. That is what we mean by multiple. Multiple means the name itself suggests. Multiple means you have multiple,
Two.
what
Yes,
multiple?
yes.
Multiple parent classes. So more than one parent class at a time you will inherit the properties from both of them. You can have two, you can have three, depends, right? That is something that we have. Now, uh, all right. Now, let's say if I give you a problem statement with respect to hypothesis testing, and in that hypothesis testing, it is given that there are multiple samples given to you. Multiple samples are there, and like all these samples are of different size, I can say. A sample of 20, a sample of 30, a sample of 15, something of that sort. So multiple samples are there, and all of them are having different sizes. So in such a scenario, what validation technique would you apply to validate whether the null hypothesis is right or wrong? What
Uh,
validation you use?
we consider if our sample having more than 30, then we choose Z techniques, Z
Mhm.
static
Then
technique.
that is something that you would do when you have one sample. Na? Here you are having two, three samples of different sizes at a time in one data only. Then how will you do? More than one sample.
T-test, sorry, we can use T-test.
T-test is used when your sample size is less than 30. One sample and the size of that sample is less than 30, then you use T-test. One sample, the sample size is more than 30, then you use Z-test. Multiple samples, you use F-test or ANOVA.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So that is how you can like proceed with the validation. You will have to calculate SSD and all such
yes,
things, and then you can perform the analysis using the F table and all those things. So fine, fair enough. One more question I would have, that is with respect to again Python. In Python, let's say if we talk about object-oriented programming again, um, what do you feel? The I should say, if I talk about in general object-oriented programming, we have something called constructor. What do we mean by constructors?
I cannot recall it.
We say na, let's say I say class person. Inside that I will say def init, and then I'll
Yes,
say self, name, age, something like that. So
yes,
that
yes.
is basically your constructor. So how would you define constructor? It is a method. It is like a method. It is like a function. And then how would you define that? Think about it.
I cannot recall.
Okay, no problem. So what I would need from you is your updated resume, because I'll be guiding you how you can improvise on top of it. Definitely you will prepare a good one, keeping ATS in mind. But yes, once you are done with it, make sure that you have shared it to me, and I'll be giving you the feedback which you can incorporate, and then you'll be ready.
Yes,
All right.
yes,
All right.
yes.
Thank you so much, Rajiv.
Thank you, sir.